After the retirement of Michael Jordan, any player that would have previously been deemed the next Jordan was now being looked at as the next Kobe Bryant. A 6'6" force of nature, a 3-time champion just 6 years in, a basketball savant, trash-talking his opponent in English, Spanish, and Italian, and doing all this a part of arguably the most important franchise in the sport, the Los Angeles Lakers. A team that when Kobe was drafted was in need of a reboot. When Kobe came to town, they were coming off 3 exits in the first round, 2 in the second. But he was about to completely change that. Part of it would be his dynamic scoring and fear-inducing defending, but he was also a culture setter. He wasn't going to settle with continuous playoff flameouts, and he didn't.
You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
By 2002, he had just wrapped up a Jordan-esque three-peat. He wasn't doing it alone. All 3 of the championships were won right alongside one of the most dominant bigs in league history, Shaquille O'Neal. But that didn't change the fact that this level of early championship success for Kobe already had scouts scrambling to find the next potential franchise-saving two-way phenom, and it really wasn't long before someone came along and was deemed the next Kobe, Dwayne Wade. Now, at the time of Wade's 2003 draft, this comparison did not exist. Kobe went to the draft right out of high school. Wade was coming off 3 seasons at Marquette. Kobe was 6'6", Wade 6'4". The comparison would have started and ended with them playing the same position. A more common comparison for Wade at the time was Gilbert Arenas, someone who would go on to be an All-Star and All-NBA player, but at this time was only coming off his 2nd season in the league, averaging 18 points. Solid, but no Kobe comparison. But then when we actually saw Wade out there on the court, it didn't take long before the comparison started coming up, eventually becoming a constant conversation, and it wasn't completely unjustified either. Wade wasn't a prospect anymore. He was dominating at the NBA level. He was an all-star by just his 2nd season, a season in which he posted fairly comparable numbers to Kobe. He averaged 24, 5, and 7. Kobe 28, 6, and 6. Their efficiency was nearly identical. For a shooting guard to be doing that at this stage in their career, the Kobe comparison was inevitable, whether it made sense or not. Now, Wade wasn't a fan of this. After all, he was just a sophomore in the league, a child compared to some of the guys he was up against. He would say later, "I didn't like the Kobe comparison. I didn't want that. I didn't want the smoke. I played the way I play because I watched guys like Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and Kobe. Don't put me there yet. I'm 2 years into the league. I'm a kid who still secretly wants Kobe's autograph at this time." Now, given Kobe's heated passion, it's really no surprise, in the words of Michael Jordan, he took these comparisons between himself, a 3-time champion, to a second-year 2 guard from a mid-major college, personally. And so I was just trying to find my footing in the league. They're now pinning me with one of my favorite players, a guy I've only played once this year before. This inner beef that I didn't even know was there, that I didn't cause, that the media caused. Oh, y'all think he's next. I'm gonna show you. That's Kobe. But it didn't really matter how Wade felt. The narrative was already being pushed. Everyone wanted to see the two go toe-to-toe. Something, as Wade mentioned, they had actually done before when Wade was a rookie.
Oh, beautiful pass. Posey on the hop to Wade. Last 3. There's the alley-oop. Down to 2. Kobe for 3. Yes! At the buzzer! Kobe enjoyed it. Dwayne Wade did not.
Well, you know, he passed the one.
But that was Dwayne Wade versus Kobe. Christmas Day 2004, their second matchup, that was Kobe versus the next Kobe.
Merry Christmas 2004 from the Staples Center and the NBA Christmas Day Special presented by American Express. Sold out, highly anticipated matchup. The Miami Heat, the best record in the East, against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Now he gets it again, works off a screen, works outside, and a little fall away is good against the Hornets. With it, and here goes Bryant again from 3. Which straight over the top of his head. Now Bryant again from 3. With it, and here goes Bryant again from 3. Whoa! Is the Heat. And that's Wade. Clock down to 2. And that one.
It's tough to score in the half-court game.
Wade hung on the basket. Wade. Jermaine Jones to inbound. Bryant gets doubles. Kobe Bryant.
A game that turned into an overtime thriller, won by Miami 104-102. Kobe would end the night with 42 points, miles ahead of Wade's 29. But the matchup wasn't as one-sided as it seems at first glance. Kobe played 50 minutes that night. Quick reminder, there's only 48 minutes in regulation. He took 30 shots and turned the ball over 9 times. While Wade did post an inefficient 29, he added on 10 assists and got the win. The game really encapsulated a key difference between Bryant and Wade. The former was an alpha scorer. The latter excelled as a playmaker. Wade averaged at least 6.5 assists 6 times throughout his career. Kobe didn't do that once. Bryant averaged over 28 points a game 5 times in his career. Wade only did that once. Sure, the comparison actually continued to grow, hitting its peak a year later when Wade won his first title with Miami, a title like all of Kobe's to that point, won right alongside Shaquille O'Neal, also a win that put him ahead of Kobe's schedule. But from that point on, it became more and more clear the two were just fundamentally different players. Wade was carving out his own lane at the position apart from Kobe, so as a result, the comparison just fizzled out. Really, the Kobe comparison as a whole dried up. Maybe the league finally learned its lesson. As good as someone like Wade was, a comparison like Kobe shouldn't be taken lightly. For nearly a decade, we see this lull in the next Kobe surge. Maybe it's over, but just when we thought that might be the case, the comparison, to levels never reached prior or since, gets thrusted on a young kid coming out of Canada, Andrew Wiggins. Someone that was no stranger to the spotlight. The NBA had their eyes locked on him by the time he was a sophomore in high school. By the time he was a senior, he was deemed the next basketball phenom, the future of the league, the next Kobe Bryant. They shared a similar frame, a similar fluidity and athleticism, a similar play style and an ability to absolutely fill up the highlight reel. To this day, Wiggins has some of the most iconic and viral high school mixes the sport has ever seen. He was flying out of the gym on his way to becoming the first Canadian to win Gatorade National Player of the Year. The hype is starting to get crazy. And while some were torn on whether he was the top recruit in the country or if he was just behind Chicago standout Jabari Parker, this doesn't discredit the player that Wiggins was at the time. As a junior, Parker probably had the edge. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was winning Gatorade National Player of the Year. But come their senior season, Wiggins had shrunk the gap. In the eyes of many, had become the clear #1 guy. Regardless, this was being looked at as one of the best 1-2 combinations at the top of the high school rankings we had ever seen. Also, make no mistake, despite the debate in the rankings, had they both been able to go to the draft after graduation, Wiggins would have been the top pick. A top pick in a draft that ended up being extremely disappointing, something that would only fuel the hype for who many thought would be filling in for Kobe's shoes one day. A day that might have to come sooner rather than later, as Kobe just suffered a torn Achilles. His future's up in the air. But some stopped themselves from getting too excited about Wiggins. Even at the time, there was one element of the game, one often overlooked, that Wiggins and Kobe seemed to be polar opposites: the mental side of the game. Heading into the '96 draft, no one doubted Kobe's intensity. Even at 17, scouts said his #1 strength was his maturity that was seen as more advanced than even his college peers that season. For Bryant, every single game was do or die. That never wavered. This wasn't quite true for Wiggins. A Sports Illustrated profile came out in 2013. It would paint him as a bit of a recluse, and was particularly skeptical of the young Canadian's motor. It said that with Wiggins there's warning signs. Wiggins has attended 3 schools in the past 4 years. His college recruitment is being run by his father, Mitchell, an unemployed NBA guard, best remembered for a 2-year suspension after testing positive for an illegal substance. Wiggins' work ethic and motor have yet to catch up to his athleticism and raw ability. Even worse, the article would go on to contextualize his place in a long line of extremely talented but ultimately disappointing Canadian prospects. All of the talent and potential was there. The question really was, would his brain let him access it? And briefly, it looked like he was trying to put those concerns to rest. The same day that profile ran, he would drop 57 points in a 114-59 victory over a rival high school. He nearly outscored the other team by himself. Finally, we at least had a sign there might actually be a Kobe-esque fire inside him, that he could respond under pressure, and at least temporarily. This did ease concerns about his motor, but the next step was going to be the real test. He was off to the college ranks. He was teaming up with fellow 5-star recruits Joel Embiid and Wayne Selden at the University of Kansas. The hype is only growing. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The stage is set for the next Kobe to dominate the NCAA, something we never got the chance to see from Kobe. But unfortunately, we didn't get the human highlight reel fans were hoping for. He would manage a really solid 17 points and 6 rebounds. Because of his physical profile and raw talent, the NBA draft buzz was still very strong. But the hype, that was slowing down, and those concerns about how bad he really wanted it, about his motor, those were growing. The urgency from the 19-year-old Wiggins just wasn't there, and that became clear to everyone in the final game of his college career, the second round of the NCAA tournament, where he finished with 4 points on just 6 shots. That lack of intensity continued to follow him into the pre-draft process. He was described as at best having a somewhat laid-back demeanor. At worst, he lacked a killer instinct and was prone to disappear for stretches or disengage from the game entirely. But luckily, there was still a pretty strong belief that this was something that was subject to change, especially with coaching and maturity. He had been deemed a future top pick for years now. Mentality concerns were not going to stop that from happening. So when it was all said and done, while he would never manage to be the consensus selection,
with the first pick in the 2014 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Andrew Wiggins from Toronto and the University of Kansas.
A team that seemed like a great fit. He would slide right in alongside a talented young backcourt of Kyrie and Dion Waiters. He would bring defense to what was one of the worst defensive units in the league. But unfortunately for Wiggins, fate had other ideas in mind. And by fate, I mean LeBron James. James would announce his return just weeks after the draft, and after spending several seasons alongside the likes of Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, there was no chance LeBron was waiting around for Wiggins to fully develop, no matter how talented. So in order to form a big three around LeBron, Wiggins was traded to Minnesota in a deal that brought back all-star forward Kevin Love, a team that didn't seem like a great fit. The reputation surrounding Wiggins was that he needed coaching and mentoring. This was a team that had just gone through 6 coaches in 10 years, and really aside from a quickly aging KG, this was a roster devoid of much experience, leadership, or even success. But maybe all this was about to change. Andrew Wiggins was looked at as a potential franchise-saving talent. Could he make good on those Kobe comparisons and do that? Well, way before we were going to have that answer, we were at least going to get the chance to see the two go head-to-head. Their first encounter coming in November of 2014. By this point, the writing's on the wall for Kobe's career following that torn Achilles. But while he wasn't the same player, that mentality hadn't gone anywhere, and so playing against someone deemed his replacement, the Mamba mentality was going to be on display. Once the game tips off, Wiggins is actually the first of the two to get on the board.
He lost a bunch of weight. They worked out together. Look at this move by Wiggins.
He didn't score a single point the rest of the game.
The other night didn't score till Mike D'Antoni did, as Drew Wiggins. He tries to get around Kobe. Kobe takes it away from behind. Passes back to Bryant. Dunked it. Floor to work and to learn and to listen. Young again looking to attack out to Wiggins.
And Bryant, meanwhile, was proving he still had some left in the tank come the end of the fourth, on top of making it tough on Wiggins all night. He's got 26 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals. But the game wasn't over. Bryant desperately wanted to make it 29. The Lakers are down by 1. There's 2.8 seconds left on the clock. There's no doubt in anyone's mind who's getting this shot, a shot that has a chance to be added to the extremely long list of iconic Kobe game winners, one that would be a statement to the rest of the league to stay away from mentioning his name in the same breath as unproven young players. Bryant gets it off the inbounds. Wiggins is rushed out to defend, gets delayed by a screen but is able to recover. Kobe still gets the shot off.
To win it! And the Minnesota Timberwolves have come in a
Ultimately, the shot clings out. The usually clutch Bryant just couldn't quite muster enough to get the Lakers over the hump. But that was just one of the 2 battles taking place on the court. Kobe had finished 10 for 18 from the field. The next Kobe, just 1 for 6. In fact, if anyone looked like the next Kobe that night, it was Minnesota's other rookie, Zach LaVine. He scored 28 off the bench, shooting 11 for 14 from the field. After the game, he was quick to shout out LaVine, but he made no mention or even address the matchup between him and Wiggins. That would change a month later. On December 14th, 2014, the Wolves and the Lakers meet again, a matchup that has the NBA world's attention on it. But that didn't have anything to do with Wiggins.
We know that it's going to be tonight, right? Unless something completely crazy happens, that Kobe is going to pass Jordan for 3rd all time. Part of the question.
Wiggins, for his part, appeared to have learned some lessons from their first contest.
Wiggins spins, got Kobe going the wrong way. Timberwolves have won 3 straight in this series.
Jeff Adrian will be staying around a lot longer.
Then in the second quarter, Kobe gets fouled and he goes to the line with a chance to tie, then move ahead of Jordan's record. In moments like this, you know what he does next.
The NBA's 3rd all-time leading scorer. So probably not the pageantry most people wanted to see, but effective nonetheless and appropriate because not only did his first point come from the free throw line.
It's really an honor to be here now at this moment to see history. He deserves everything he gets, and I think it's really classy for the Minnesota Timberwolves to stop the game and allow him to have this moment that he so richly deserves.
It was time for everything to come full circle. Kobe was the next Jordan. At least in one aspect, he surpassed him tonight. Now his focus shifts to letting the next Kobe know replacing him will be no easy feat. Kobe adds on another 12 points to finish with 26 for the second time in a row. Once the focus is back on Wiggins, he couldn't step up. He goes just 1 for 7 in the second half and added 2 turnovers after 3 in the first. It didn't seem like this comparison was going to be alive much longer. But then after the game, it was actually Kobe himself that reinvigorated it. Maybe he was in his feels after topping his former comparison, but the usually stoic Bryant was speaking high praise for the most recent top pick. He would feed right into the next Kobe hype, telling reporters that Wiggins was like looking at a reflection of myself 19 years ago. After a statement like that, this comparison's not going anywhere, at least for now. Even a year later, his father and former NBA player himself offered a similar endorsement. You talk about the size, frame, and those kinds of things. Wiggins has a chance to be special because really I don't see anyone else. He would end up finishing his rookie season averaging 17 points and 5 rebounds en route to a Rookie of the Year award. At this same point in Kobe's career, he was only averaging 8 points a game. Even at the same age, he averaged just 15. Given how much potential waiting to be released there still seemed to be for Wiggins, the chance he made good on this comparison still hadn't been ruled out. But as most of us likely remember, that didn't last long. The duo would square off 3 more times in Wiggins' second season, also Kobe's last. The most notable coming in their final matchup, February 2nd, 2016. Wiggins would put up by far the best fight to date. He managed 30 points, shooting over 50% from the field. At this point, Kobe is just weeks away from retirement. He'd only scored 30 points once so far on the season. Surely Wiggins finally had a clear victory, one he needed. There wasn't going to be another chance.
Wolves. Kobe gets it with 5 on the clock, and he gets the Rookie of the Year chase here in February. Kobe! And will it be a payoff at the other end? Started the year off the bench. Kobe. Pump fake tonight, has 1 rebound. Kobe deep. Kobe's going to try a 3. Yes. Brandon Bass. Kobe rising with the Lakers and Bryant. 3-pointer. He's going to try another one. He is. Yes! Kobe operating right wing. 6 to shoot. On its way. Kobe Bryant!
How often have we...
Kobe had been saving whatever he had left for this matchup, his final statement to the next Kobe. He dropped 38 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. He caught fire beyond the arc, going 7 for 11, and the Lakers won the game. That 38-point night was the most he had scored all season. We also got to see a pretty cool moment between the two that night.
5 rebounds.
A lot of room for error now for Minnesota. Wiggins tries to continue his great second half and fourth quarter, and he does over Kobe.
Yeah, that's like I said, so much like
the exchange would be heralded as Bryant passing the torch to Wiggins, much in the same way Jordan had passed the torch to Kobe in his final game. Unfortunately though, the torch was a little too hot.